Hello everyone, Erwin here from Kirby, and I just wanted to go over getting started with the Servitor app today. Alright, as you can see here, this is the army listing page. You won't have any armies to start out with, but this is where you'll be landing. There's the menu up in the top left. We'll get to these other sections later. But for right now, we can start by adding an army, so we'll click the big blue button. Clicking on this, you can add your army name. You can pick which factions are in the army. If you have something like Chaos Soup and you need to pick multiple factions, and of course write some background info for your army. Saving that, you can see we'll have the details view here. If you click into it, you can add units and data sheets. We don't have any data sheets yet, so first thing we'll need to do is add some of those. When adding a data sheet, you're going to want to have your codex open. You can also obviously use an online resource such as Wikipedia. Put in things like the unit type, the power level, points, cost. For the data sheet profiles, you can just add the numbers. You don't need to add any pluses or anything like that. You can then support multiple profiles. For weapons, you want to click the little plus icon there to add new weapons to your list. Again, for the weapons, you're going to pick what factions it's available to. This is important for things like Imperium, but for Necrons, it's pretty straightforward. So we can add multiple weapons. We've added the Hyperphase Glaive and the Tachyon Arrow, and then you can just type ahead in the boxes below and they'll show up to select. War gear is very similar. You can see I'm just copying and pasting from areas here. One thing to note is you can add bolding and underline and lists into these description boxes using BB code. So that's bold there, the B's and the /B. And so put the resurrection orb there and also any abilities. So adding living metal, you can add flavor text and ability text here. Again, I found the easiest is just to copy and paste this from your source. And then again, you can just type ahead once you're in the multi-select area, and all of the abilities that you have created for this faction should show up there. So as you can see, you can select into it or just type ahead and press enter to add all the abilities. And then we'll have the faction keywords. These are coded in the system by myself, so right now it works. Space Marines and Necrons are fully supported. If you want to add your list, I will get to it, but if you want it sooner, just let me know. We'll add another data sheet here by clicking the Add Another button, which will save and add it. You can see me adding the Royal Warden here. Sped this up a little bit to save you the boredom. But as you can see, any abilities are also shared there. All right, now we can add a unit. Give your unit a name. Skeletor, our overlord here. You select the data sheet. It'll select your war gear and weapons that you've already selected for that data sheet. You can set the status of whether you've bought or purchased this miniature. Also modify the points depending on whatever war gear choices, and you can remove the war gear from here based on the options that you have. So we have our unit showing up here. You select on that. You can add a photo to this guy. Obviously on the phone, it'll open up your library. I'm on the desktop, so you can zoom and drag it around to get the shot you want, or use the little slider there. And you have your picture. You can obviously edit or delete the unit from here. If you want to change any of the options, there's also this context menu up in the top right on all of these pages, which will also give you options to edit or delete the thing in question. So add the Royal Warden here really quick as well. Add a photo for that. As you can see, you can also delete the photo and add a different one if you like. Change your mind later. So now I'll just add all the data sheets for my little Necron force here. I've got the Indomitus set. You can see an example of multiple weapon profiles there. Just skipping ahead a little bit. I realized I made a mistake. You can find all of the data sheets, abilities, weapons, and war gear that you add in the reference section. And if you need to change it, just click the little edit icon there and change whatever you need, or use the context menu once you're viewing it as well. I'll be adding links to these things into the main army list, just something I haven't gotten around to. So yeah, you can see me going through the process of adding this. Obviously, data import from something like Battlescribe is high on the list of things to do. But one of the advantages of being able to at least edit or add your own data sheets is, you can add your own custom stuff or only include the ones that you need. In the Space Marine Codex, for instance, there's, I don't know, dozens of data sheets, and you might use like 10. And also a bunch of the warrior options aren't really relevant for a lot of people. So it's nice to just be able to have only what you need so that there's less fluff. And now I'm going through and adding all of the units based on the data sheets. Pretty straightforward, just picking and setting the points or power level if they're larger units. And some of the warrior options, adding all of the images. And that's pretty much it for setting up your first set of the army. Now you can also add images to your army along with some captions here up at the top. So if you want to have any cool lore around your army, or just add some cool photos that you have that don't rely on any particular unit, you can add them here. You can also manage this list. You can view it in the gallery here, or if you click on the little list icon there, you can remove these items as well. Getting back to our list, you can see that the power level and points have been updated for the army based on what we've input here, and we can obviously go in here and view any of the units by clicking on them, but we can also add warlord traits, relics, and stratagems, which we'll use in the battle section. So nothing surprising here. Warlord traits, you pick the faction. You can also pick the sub-faction. This will be used for filtering it out later on for things like the Mefrit dynasty or Blood Angel Space Marines. You're going to pick the sub-faction just so the right things are available in the drop-downs for you. But here I'm just going to go through and add all of the warlord traits from the Necron Codex, as well as highlight some of the keywords using bolding. So same thing for relics here. The big difference with relics is you can also add a weapon profile to a relic. So if you click on the plus button by the weapon profile, you can see that I'll be able to add a weapon profile for the Conduit of Stars here, and any special abilities, and then save, and then add another, and I'll go through the list here just again so you can see the amount of work it takes for the data entry. It took me around an hour and a half to do the Necron army, which is a bit annoying for sure, but once it is in there, the data sheets and the weapons, you can refer to them all you like, and it is really quite handy when you get to the battle phase. The last section is adding stratagems, which definitely took the longest. So one way to save yourself some time is only add the stratagems that you are actually going to use. The important part here is the phases. So this is used to show you what phases the stratagem is going to be available to you when you're in the midst of a battle. So here I picked the movement phase, but you might pick your fight phase and the enemy fight phase, or you might pick the command phase, for instance. Really, really helpful for referring to when you're in the middle of battle and you can't remember exactly what stratagem is available in each command phase. There's also going to be something where I add the keywords, affected keywords to each stratagem, so you can see what types of units can be affected by the stratagem, but that will be coming in the future. Okay, now that we've added all of our army data, you can go to the reference section and check everything out. You can obviously edit stratagems, relics, warlord traits, abilities from here. You can see I've got Space Marine and Necron stuff here. I'll probably be adding some search or filter capability to this section, but it's there if you need it. But let's get to battle. So you can select a new battle here. You pick the army. You're going to choose your opponent and their faction, as well as your mission and secondary objectives. I've also put in the secondary objectives for armies. So you can see ancient machinery is there for Necrons. And then you're going to select your units here. So this is drawing from your army list, and you're going to pick which units are participating in this battle. You might have a really large army list and only be picking a sub-portion of it per battle. So this is a way to get around that. You can obviously come back and change what units you want to bring, kind of assuming that you're using an army builder, list builder, something like Battlescribe to actually do your army list, and then just put it in here. You can configure what relics and warlord traits you're bringing in here as well for reference. So I've got my Pharaon, and he's got the Gauntlet, as well as Inspiring Leader aura. And if there's any pre-game stratagems such as Scarboys or ones that add important abilities, you're going to want to add them here for reference as well. Once you save the settings, you're going to be brought to the battle entry main area, where you can see the command points and victory points per primary and secondary objective for you and your opponent. You can just update these with numbers that'll automatically save it. You can also add photos to the battle, so taking pictures of, like, say, the deployment zones or kind of fun in-game shots is always pretty cool. And again, you can just manage this with the list icon there if you want to remove them. The unit tab here has references to the units you brought to battle, along with any relics or warlord traits that you've assigned to them, which is really nice, all in one spot. And you can just click to open whichever one you're looking at, and also click to bring it back. And finally, we have the stratagems by phase. So this is where all of your hard work putting in the stratagems pays off. So you can see in the different phases of the game, in your turn and the opponent's, what stratagems are available to you. And lastly, we have finishing the battle. So when you're done, you can click finish. It will, based on the scores of the VPs, it will calculate win, lose, or draw for you. You can obviously edit this anytime you want. If you change the command points and resave it, as I'll show you here, it will actually, the victory points, it will actually update. And we have a victory for the Rectech dynasty. Anyways, that's it for today. Hopefully this was useful for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. You can contact support at servitor.app, or you can find us on Reddit. Also, just to note that even since I've recorded this, the UI has changed a little bit. I'll be updating it pretty often, so things will be changing as you go, but hopefully this will help you get started. All right, thanks for watching.